I think that obviously the working class and minorities and all of the above literally build cities, but also build culture of cities. And it, I think, is quite a blessing to belong to both of those. To belong to, I'm going to cry again. To be of the lineage of the hands that built the ships and the streets and the furnishings and the everything else, to literally be part of the fabric of everything, to come from lorry drivers and ship workers, and for that to be the working people of a city, but also to be the culture makers. Queer people are the ones who are pushing every industry to innovation, pushing every art form to innovation, pushing ways of being in relationships, ways of being friends, ways of being everything. Like, the only way that you can expand is to believe that you can expand. And there's that Oscar Wilde quote of, to define is to limit. And there's something about being unlimited.
I really like that.
The piece that I have, or the object that I have brought with me, is a print that I made with a Gaelic phrase on it. The reason I brought this along was because of the story behind making it, and also because the phrase on it feels quite appropriate to this project. It says, "Y chwysig grúig y gases sy'n ótrig si s'arste hocus y llawn." So the wee plant that grows in the midden raises her head the highest. Well, the only reason that I ended up doing digital art was because I was like, I can't afford paint. Like, I can't afford to stretch a new canvas every week. I can't afford to, like, because I did a painting degree. I just couldn't afford to keep painting all the time. And, like, when I was painting, I was, like, every time there was, like, a kind of clear out of the studios, like, at the end of term, there would be, like, a big massive skip outside, like, in the sort of yards bit of the art school. And we would literally, like, everyone of all social classes would go and rummage through the skip for, like, materials, for, like, boards and canvases that people had stretched and then not used, rich. And, like, I would have been painting shit that I didn't want to paint if I'd stretched a canvas. Like, but yeah, like, stuff like board, I ended up painting so much on board because, like, there was always bits of wood. And then, like, yeah, going down to, like, the workshop, the wood workshop, and just be like, do you have offcuts of wood? And I would be painting on that if I was ever painting. But I ended up teaching myself, like, how to draw digitally on, like, a £40 Wacom tablet, and, like, that lasted me, like, 5 or 6 years.
Yeah,
like,
mine's is still going. Like,
they're not made like that anymore. We'll get to that, actually. Like, that print there's a connection there.
So I chose a SingStar microphone, and that was because, well, I guess it represented a very specific point of my life. I had basically just graduated from uni and had moved into a flat in Glasgow, and it was the first I lived in Barhead, so it was the first time that I'd ever kind of lived on my own because I always lived with my parents all the way through uni, and I couldn't afford to, like, move out at that point. So when I had my first actual salary, I moved into Glasgow in Kelvin Bridge in this basement flat and bought a SingStar for the PS2, and it represents queerness for me because it was the first time as well I'd made, like, queer friends that kind of represented who I felt I wanted to be. I met lots of trans people through, like, living in Kelvin Bridge, meeting a lot of, like, people that studied at GSA, went out clubbing with them, and we used to always bring everyone back to our little damp basement flat in Kelvin Bridge and put on SingStar, like, every weekend. And it was kind of yeah, it represented like that really prominent time. Do you know, interestingly, when I was in my early 20s, so I'm obviously 30 now, so I've been, yes, I've been round the block many times in Glasgow. I don't know if that makes sense. Am I allowed to say that? Yeah, I've been to many places in Glasgow, and when I was like in my early 20s, I definitely would say my safe space was like in the club, and I used to go, well, in hindsight, I clubbed too much probably, but I used to go out all the time, and like I would always go to poetry club at the time, and like go to a lot of the queer nights there, and it was like every weekend I'd be like, oh, I'm going to take a weekend off, and then I would be in the club again, and then I would be at an afters again. So that was definitely a very like specific point of my early 20s, like, I say early to mid. Like I partied a lot, as you know, Holly. As you know, Holly.
A wee bit.
So yeah, that was definitely the beginning of having a safe space. But I think like as I've gotten a bit older now, like I'm probably. I would say actually like setting up gender goals, and kind of revisiting my love for football, and hanging around lots of people through that, and doing a lot more kind of advocacy work for like Palestine, and like advocacy work for like the architecture industry. I think that's kind of now where my safe spaces are, and the reason for that was because I knew it wasn't sustainable to be clubbing all the time, pretty much. And don't get me wrong, I still love to go to the club and like love all that, but like I definitely think I'm trying to find it in other community spaces now that's not just being surrounded by like alcohol.
So the jacket is a suede jacket from 1990s, I would say, and it's suede and it's oversized and it's got contrast panels through it, which, and the main theme is it's an 8-ball jacket. And I chose it because I've loved them for years, and I could never afford them, especially when I first seen them when I was 19, and I always kind of looked on eBay or like other websites just to find them. You can't get them brand new, so it was always resold, but they were always over like 200, 300. And I went on eBay once because I just thought of it when I was during lockdown in a park with my friends, because I was talking about it, and I was like looking at the prices. I was like, yeah, compare the prices, and it was just there for £40. So
it had to be
I bought it because I was like, it's something I never thought I could have. I feel like when I have that, when I wear one of the jackets, especially like the middle one I got, because the first red one's quite like, the tones are quite dulled down, whereas the second one's very vibrant, which is the one I've always wanted. When you go out, people always like, I'll go to like the smoking area and people will be like, where'd you get your jacket from? And I've met some of my really good friends wearing that jacket, and that's where it's like, because it's always started from a conversation. For me, I think communication's a really comfortable thing. Like, I like going to like a wee pub or a wee house party. I love talking. I can talk the ear of anyone, but I love like having, like communicating, like, and like expressing, and like, I feel like when it comes to me and you, I love, like, I'd rather go to a bar than a club.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And if a club comes to the end of it, that's fun. But we've talked so much beforehand. Like a wee pub, a flat, like someone's house, like an afters, anything that you can think of that's not a club, I will definitely be sailing that ship.
I have brought a camera, which I bought because I love to record all my, I have a terrible memory, so for me, either videoing or taking photos of things is the best thing ever, because I can look back and I can see all the lovely times with my friends, family, and even recently was sorting out my photo albums, and again, like, had like a full big one full of all my photos from Glasgow, and it just makes my heart sing, all my lovely times with my friends and all that. And then I also brought a lovely little note. I have a wee folder of notes from kids that I've taught, and it just always makes my heart sing. So I brought a nice wee note from one of the kids. And again, oh my god, why can't I talk? But yeah, brought a lovely little note from one of the kids as well. Me and my boyfriend have been talking about it so much recently as well. We actually ended up getting voice recorders as well, and we're like, do you know what? We're about to move to Australia. It really feels like we're like starting like this kind of new wee chapter. I've been recording things on my wee camcorder for so long, had various different cameras over the years, and I just love it.
And we're really like, do you know what, this is actually, we're just like sort of making our own little collation of things. And I'm loving it. Like, and because my memory is so terrible, and like, we've just been doing all sorts of wee bits and bobs, and I've started writing so much more. I've got little notebooks I've been writing daily in, and I love it. Yeah, and because my memory is so bad, I can just go back and I can see it, and I'm like, oh. I think a lot of people are actively doing it as well, and I think the only concern obviously is with digital, because you know that like once that changes, are you still going to be able to have it? So that's why I do like getting the physical prints of things, because then at least when the technology changes, so even like all my photos from Dundee, the guys to give me a CD, but like laptops don't even come with CD players anymore, so I've kept them because I'm like, I will be able to access them in the future.
And then I have little notes from 2 different friends. So I have one which is on the back of a torn in half receipt from Block. My friend Rachel worked there, and I met her through working where I work now, which is in Sugo. And I'd finished work here and I went to go visit her because it was quiet and I wanted to see her. And then she wrote on it, I love you, and signed her name, and I keep that in my purse, but now I've blown it to the box. And I have another one from my friend Rebecca, who I met. She was a regular in my work, and then when we became friends that way, and she came in after her shift at End, and then she called me over, and she had 2 little like fragrance test strips, and she's like, choose one. So I took it, and then on one of them it says love you, and then the other one it says you got this, and I feel like that one quite well speaks to the project, because these are both things from our workplaces, like as working, like people, we have to work to sustain our lifestyles, but like we all, our friendship crosses like the working part of myself, and then like the queer goes out and socialises part of myself.
And I brought an Oliver Jones neck scarf. I brought it because it reminds me of my first experience at Ponyboy.
How was your first experience at Ponyboy?
Good.
Good?
I had a lot of fun. Because I was surrounded by loads of gays. Hot gays.
Hot gays. Did you just wink?
It's the only kind of night that I would go to in Glasgow.
Why is that?
Because I'm surrounded by people I'm comfortable with.
Yeah.
And all my friends go as well.
That's the thing, like, community is in those spaces.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you feel connected to people when you go to events like Ponyboy?
Yeah, because there's a lot of people that are like you.
Like me?
Like me. Most of my pals are straight.
Really?
But they would come to Ponyboy because they like that environment and they feel safer in that environment. I've wore exactly what I wore to my first Ponyboy in my work, doing a shift. I remember the full outfit.
Yeah, what was it?
My Nidos trousers with my loafers, white cloth top and my neck scarf.
Nice. But do you think your workspaces are like queer friendly?
It's not. There's not a lot of queer people there, but it's accepted definitely.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I feel like
there's not a lot of us. Like maybe like 3 of us.
Yeah.
But everyone's like, there's no homophobic people.
Actually, the job I'm in right now, working at New Practice, that was done through Queer Connections because they're an LGBT practice, and like I really just kind of met people through people, and then sort of just turned up to a lot of networking events after that. Like, oh, like I saw you at like when Bonjour opened. Like I saw you at Bonjour, and now we're here, and like that kind of helped me get those like opportunities, which I think was really good. And then also just things through like the clubbing scene as well, like taking part in doing like set designs and things like that has always been like something I've been really passionate about, and I've only been able to do that because I've been part of the queer community. So when I first moved to the city and I had no money and I was working as like an assistant architect, like graduate job, I just spent all my money clubbing. And I didn't like, you know, have the same sort of like interests or like the money to back like things that I could do now. So which obviously I'm very lucky to be able to have done that because I'm the only person in my family that's went to uni. Like no one else in my family has left Barhead. And that is literally probably because no one else in my family is queer.
Yeah.
So they didn't have that same drive to want to get out of the town that I have. So even when you think back to so many dates of time, there's no, like, it's hard to find, like, historic references of, like, trans people existing, but we know they existed, you know? So it is quite sad when you then think about it. And it's so, again, tying back to, like, my family in Barrhead, for example, like, if these archives existed, they would maybe not see, like, my lifestyle choices as, like, an alien thing, like moving away from Barrhead. Like, you know, they find that so alien, and they do not get it at all. Whereas, like, maybe if there was more of that, then it would maybe feel more normal. But I've, like, still to this day struggled to see anything and think, oh, that represents me.
I think I became the most aware of my working class background when I was at art school, because people were like, I remember this girl asking where I was going on my study abroad, and I was like,
I'm not going to study abroad.
I was like, oh, I can't afford it, because you had to prove that you had, like, the tuition fees for the other country in your bank account. So people had to have, like, 5k, 10k in their bank account. It's like, I don't think I'll ever have 10k in my bank account in my life, period, full stop.
I didn't know that, because I also just, like, didn't even bother looking into it.
No, because, like, I was like, I have a flat and I have to keep my flat, and I'm going to get charged if I break my contract with my landlord, so I can't do that. And, like, I have to work, and, like, you legally can't just go and work somewhere. I had no idea how I was going to try and get, like, a working visa to work in a coffee shop in fucking Berlin. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to, I'm 19, I don't know how to do that. Like, so I was just kind of like, this seems like a whole lot of stuff. And then you had to have the fees, at least at GSA, you had to have the fees, like, there. And, like, this girl, I'd, like, said to this girl, like, basically all that. And then she was like, oh, could you not just borrow the money from your parents? And I, like, without missing a beat, was like, where are my parents going to borrow it from? We didn't have conversations that were as frank as, like, I am a pansexual queer part. Do you know what I mean? Using those phrases, because it almost feels like sort of almost like you're making something sound medical and scientific when, like, your parents have met you.
Yeah, they know who you are.
Like, they know what's going on. Yeah. Like, they raised you. They've been around you being the way that you are. And, like, we were very much raised in that way of, like, you know, when you're big and you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, it was very, so those conversations felt redundant. And, like, the fact that my mum was sort of acknowledging that thing of, like, and, like, my mum and dad were married, they had children, they had the traditional life in a lot of ways, but without kind of needing to over intellectualize things, understanding, like, your path is different and it's fine that your path is different, and, like, we're allowed to chill the fuck out about this. So yeah, this is the beginning of anything you want it to be. It still feels like just a mark of, like, being seen, and, like, you don't have to be in this rigid framework. Like, you can be figuring it out as you go along.
Like, I am bi, and I've always been very proudly bi. And I do go out with a guy, so again, I felt like a fraud in that sense, because I remember being out and I was like, and because, like, I'd went through a breakup and I was out and I was like, again, moving to a new place, I was like, again, obviously, I was like, I just want to go out and have a nice time. I was not dating. I was just, like, taking time for myself, so I wasn't dating. And I remember, again, feeling like a fraud, because, again, I'd be out, and, like, obviously, like, I mean, we all, even all my friends call my boyfriend, like, a straight, like, token guy, like, we actually don't know, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I'm not literally. I have always been very proud of that, and since being with a guy, it's something that I've been like, oh my god, like, it's like something I'm like, oh, like, I definitely am bisexual, but I'm obviously with a man, like, I feel like, and even when I first moved down and stuff, I felt like, oh, I was like, I don't know, I was like, I had a total, like, identity crisis. Like, the first 2 years I went to Glasgow, it was also post-COVID, so I felt like I was just like,
no.
Who am I, what is happening?
I know.
I think if I hadn't had my friendships the last few while, I would have really been it would have just been a totally different experience. And I think while I feel like I've done a lot of like personal growth and work and all these different things, like my friends have been a constant, and obviously we were really lucky. A lot of us had met in Dundee and then kind of moved en masse. So I kind of moved to Glasgow with an already made community, which was amazing. And then I've also then met other people. Like my friendships are literally like the pure light of my life. Do you know what I mean? It's just like I just adore my pals, and it is the queer community, and it's literally been like a pure saving grace.
I see Glasgow in such a different light after I moved back, and I started becoming friends with a lot more people, and it just built like more of a foundation for me. Because before I moved, I was kind of like went out a bit, then didn't, and then like stopped, and then moved away. So coming back with like a fresh set of eyes and like making like friends with people, and like I really I just feel like I just built something in me, and like a certain love that I didn't have for it before I moved. Because I feel like sometimes to love something you need to leave it for a bit and come back.
I've like talk a lot in my work about like friendship, and that like that, it's a bit corny, but that thing of like chosen family. Do you know what I mean? Like it's the people that you surround yourself with being your literal community that you feed off of, that you work with, that you, it's an ecosystem that you're building for yourself. And like most of my friends, even like while I was at art school, most of my friends were people that I worked with. It was the people that I was down the pasta mines with, or that I was in pubs with, or whatever. And it's still the same now. Like my best friends are people that I've met through either like being commissioned to make artwork for their album covers, or like random stuff like that, where you're then like, oh, we're the same. Like you and me, I'm not letting go of you. Like, and it's, I think when you live in a city, you have to be acutely aware of the people that you have to sort of like collect. And you're like, I'm gonna keep you nearby.
Because I've lived in Glasgow my whole life as well, I feel very embedded in the city. I think it's like, like time back as well to like SingStar and stuff, like it meant that there was always people coming and going all the time, and it was always new queer faces, new people to the city, people that were there all the time, elders, like there was always like, it was just such a rich, like vibrant community. And I feel like now I definitely, I don't know, I feel like my family's here now and I'm so embedded in that.
I couldn't live in Glasgow without my friends, to be fair.